people. Welcome to another episode with Mercy Anyango, also known as the Fab Philosopher. I see you guys again, and thank you for watching another episode. So as always, we'll get right into it. Today we're talking about the ego. The ego. Yeah, so I'm currently reading Ego is the Enemy, and from the title, it's still a question. As far as the book is concerned, or as far as I have reached in the book, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense, but for me, I've posed it as a question because I'm still debating on whether ego is the enemy or whether we should find a balance between an overinflated ego and, a non-existent or underinflated ego. Because personally, I still feel like it is important to have an ego, just, a healthy sized one. Yeah, a healthy sized ego, because so basically the definition of ego, let me refer to my other screen here, is a person's sense of their self-worth, and it's basically the part of the mind that mediates between the conscious and unconscious and is responsible for reality testing and a sense of personal identity. So just from that description, I feel like the ego is necessary. And the book is not really saying that the ego is not necessary. It's just saying ways in which the ego can become, your enemy or a source of destruction to your success or the cause of you not getting any kind of success. Personally, I have a really big ego. It happens. Like from Kanye West song. So basically, I have lived most of my adult life. I'm not that old, but I'm old enough. So I've lived most of my adult life, not really being a slave to my ego, but I have given it more attention than I think it deserves. So today we are just asking the question, is the ego really the enemy, or is it necessary? And if it is necessary, how much power should we give it? Like how much hold or how much weight should our ego carry in our day-to-day lives? And how do you know the difference between the voice that is your ego and your actual inner voice that's trying to guide you the correct way, or the voice of whoever you believe in, if that is the universe or whoever you've chosen to believe in? So how do you differentiate between the voice that is good for you and your ego, which is, maybe trying to guide you in the best way, or sometimes it's not really in your best interest? So we can just talk about that for a few minutes in today's episode. And basically, for me, how I know the difference between the voice that is my ego and the voice that is genuinely trying to guide me the right way. First of all, the ego starts from a very negative point, if I can say that. It starts from a negative angle. So if something happens, the first voice that reacts, the first voice that says, okay, insult them back, shout back at them, get angry, like that voice, that's your ego, because your ego is a part of your identity that is bruised first. So if something happens that makes you feel some type of way, makes you feel less than, your ego will jump up to save you, because the work generally of your ego is to protect you. So given that it feels attacked, it will jump up to save you, and it reacts more than instead of coming down and thinking through, the ego reacts fast and very, very fast. So if something happens and you get this thought of, lash back or argue back or, insult back or, scream back at this person, or, just a reactive thought, that is your ego. Your ego never wants to feel lesser than someone else. It never wants to feel lesser than itself, if I can even use that as an example. So if anything happens that makes you feel, like you've been disrespected, you've been brought down from your level, where you think your level is, or you feel like something is unfair or is unjust, the first voice to advise you is your ego. And most of the time it will advise you from a negative angle, not because it wants to put you in a bad position, but because it feels like you need some kind of protection, that you need to be saved, or you need to be protected and helped. But it comes from a very irrational point, it comes from a very attacked point, and it comes from a very fast-paced point. So the ego reacts without any kind of thought. So basically, it has not evaluated the situation further. It has not tried to understand why the situation is happening and what good it might bring in the future, or it has not evaluated the whole situation. So the ego's job is basically just to react and protect your self-worth, or your view, what you view yourself as yourself, what you view in your own opinion as your self-worth. So most of the time, if you find that you're getting into a lot of arguments, a lot of fights, a lot of angry moments, lashing out, all those things, it's mostly because you are operating from an egotistical point, where your ego is always feeling victimized, is always feeling attacked. And it's something that happens to all of us. It's something that happens to all of us. It's just that some people have learned or have practiced the art of controlling their egos, or just taking a step back and waiting for that other voice. Or that's why they say pause and pray. You chill, you relax, you become tired, as we discussed in a previous video. So in that space of the action happening that has made you feel less than, and your reaction being your ego, you give it some time. So in that time, you're able to calm down, you're able to evaluate the situation. And then now this other voice, your higher self voice, the voice of whoever you believe in, whoever is guiding you through life, it allows that time, that space allows that voice to be able to, step in and give you some much needed advice. So your ego is necessary because it's there to protect you. And sometimes, yes, it is very needed, because sometimes you really do need to stand up for yourself. And that's the few rare cases where, we are allowed to use our ego as an advisor. But I strongly suggest that you should not react from your ego's perspective. Give it time, wait for the other calm voice, stronger voice to, give you some advice. Then compare the two. Compare what your ego was saying earlier, and then, with what you have just now come to believe, given all the information and all the data that you've collected. Then you can choose now how to respond. If you want to go the ego way, well and good. If you want to go the higher self way, well and good. But just give it time. I don't believe that we should be any less confident, or believe that we are worth any less by choosing to ignore our egos. At the end of the day, we all want to feel like we are somebody. We all want to hold our head high and be seen and be appreciated and acknowledged. But at the end of the day, you have to realize that everyone has this ego, and we are all trying to just get by as best as we can. So for the times where you can keep your ego in check, mostly just, you can read the book. It's a really good book. But from your day-to-day practice, just try to know yourself as much as possible. The moment you know where your weaknesses are, where your strengths are, who you really are as a person, or who you think you are as a person, you can never really know yourself. But the more you try to the more you're able to see, okay, that is my ego talking, and that is my higher self talking, and that is I don't know whose opinion. So you're able you're able to distinguish who is, which voice in your mind is saying what, and it prevents you from ending up in situations where you react instead of, respond. So that was a short episode about the ego. Thank you guys for watching another episode. See you on the next one.